Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Gould. I'm here with Adam Old Man Winters. And today we're looking at Street Fighter Alpha, the animation, also known as Street Fighter Zero, the animation. I don't see the animation in any of the art, though. So,
I think my copy had the movie on the DVD cover, although even though I watched the Voodoo stream.
okay, all these clarifying colons, I don't think they're canon. But, so this movie was released in either 1999, 2000, or 2001. I didn't have a physical copy. So the official Wikipedia says on the side, release date August 31st, 2000. It says it's the 10th anniversary of Street Fighter II, The World War, which we believe is 1991. And as we were just discussing pre-podcast, anniversary is probably incorrect. Maybe birthday's more accurate. We got ourselves confused. But
I don't know that it interests me enough. But why in the world do you make a game inspired by Street Fighter Alpha and you dedicate it to Street Fighter 2?
I don't know. I think it was developed during the time when Street Fighter Alpha 3 was being made, or coincided with it. I'm not sure when it actually came out, obviously. I'm also seeing on a different wiki that this OVA was released in 2000, and then it says an English dub was produced by Manga Entertainment and released in 2001. So this 1999, 2000, 2001 thing is really not even like, did it release in Japan in 99 and America in 2000? I think it did come out in America in 2001. So I don't know. Who knows? It's an OVA. It didn't go to theaters. So
even though the Street Fighter 2 movie animated, it did pretty good box office numbers in Japan, but they didn't release this one. I guess does that mean the full
maybe
frame
it's rental
aspect,
property.
Full frame aspect ratio? Is that all it exists in? There's no widescreen cut.
I do not think there's a widescreen cut. And now that I think about it, maybe that's where the dispute is. Maybe it was available as a rental in '99, and you could buy it in 2000.
All right.
I'm speculating there, but it would make sense.
Japan was a little bit stingy with letting you buy videotapes of video game properties back in the day.
Sounds like it. And this is I've never seen something that we've reviewed where there's so much dispute over when it came out. It just seems kind of weird. But yeah, definitely standard definition. I don't know that this would look better in HD. Up front, I'm not a big fan of the art style, or at least the watercolor like effect. And it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean on that.
It feels like I'm watching a dream sequence the entire movie. But there's dream sequences within where it gets even blurrier.
Well, it's good that you brought that up, because the first 30 minutes or so, I was unsure whether what I was watching was a real-time story or a flashback. And that confused me for a good chunk of that early development of this story.
Yeah, and then on one of the wikis, I made notes, but they weren't the best notes because this was one of those stop, go watches. So I decided I just need to find a good summary online to walk me through the podcast. Like, there's a prologue, which did I miss a prologue?
That's the whole deal where it keeps flashing the images of Ryu going dark and Akuma, right?
Well, apparently, and this is a prologue, I know there was a sequel movie, maybe it fills in the blanks.
Okay.
But Ryu and his best friend Ken both participated in the Street Fighter tournament, which was hosted by Sagat.
Just like the last one started, we watched. Okay.
Yeah. So Ryu makes it to the finals and defeats him with a blow so strong that it, quote, according to a wiki, knocked the eye patch off Sagat's face.
That's how the Street Fighter 2 movie opened.
Okay.
And they referenced Sagat in this movie, but I didn't see him. Maybe the English cut gypped me.
So then Akuma, or Akuma?
Yeah, they do say Akuma. I'm still calling him Akuma, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to be right.
I'll probably go back and forth with it now, and now my brain's confused. But Akuma confronts Goken's dojo and use what this calls Shun Goku Satsu, which I think is the Dark Hadou, aka Dark Ryu power, on him. Kind of sees it, but arrives to find his master dead.
That's a bummer.
Beats the crap out of Ken, and then Akuma disappears without a trace. And then it says the movie begins. So I don't know. I don't know. It makes sense. I wish they had a little narration.
Indeed.
So I don't know. I think that's like a good summary of this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure this movie knew what it wanted to be from different scene to scene.
Yeah, I feel like it'd take forever just to go through all the movie. So I will say, I started watching the Voodoo free version, and I watched 7 minutes of it, and then had to sit through 6 commercials. Full-length commercials. So I said, my life is too short and my time is too valuable. And why pay $3 for a rental if I can buy it for 5? So I ended up just
Yeah,
buying it
man.
so that I didn't spend 2.5 hours watching this movie.
I paid $2 for my copy
Okay.
because I
Like
did the
purchase?
disc. I did the disc to digital. I scanned the back of the barcode on the
Oh,
back of the
goodness. You
box.
bootlegger.
No, that's legal. So long as Fandango allows it. I don't expect it to last forever, but they allow it at present. That's what I
So
did.
you own the disc?
I own the disc, and then I got a $2 digital copy using that
What's the
feature.
what's the date on the back of the disc?
I'm gonna have to get up and go dig it out. Let me put you on hold. You can edit this later if you want to.
Do 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 do.
Okay, after all that, I couldn't find the darn thing. Can you believe it? I thought I
That's
had all
okay.
my old video game DVDs in one place, but no, well, darn. Yeah, I guess I should have popped that DVD out just in the name of curiosity, seeing how they would have presented that.
Okay. So you are a Street Fighter entrepreneur. You understand your Street Fighter. How much of this movie's canon? What is a Dark Hadou?
That's an ongoing plot thread ever since they introduced Akuma and the idea that Ryu has a dark side that he's fighting against, and theoretically Ken is in there too, but he doesn't struggle with it the same way Ryu does. It is an interesting character flaw to introduce because Ryu's character was built on the idea of always searching for the next challenge. In this movie, that's a problem. He actually doesn't want to fight because he's going to unleash the beast. The villains are entirely original to my knowledge. They are not based at all on Capcom canon that I recognize.
Okay. How about Shun?
The
Does
kid
Akira,
brother, maybe the
yeah,
kid
does
brother. I don't
does
know.
Akira have a child in the video games?
I never read too much on his wiki pages, but I don't
I
remember
think I
ever
said his
that
name
being,
wrong too, but yeah.
yeah, Shun or whatever, Shushu. I don't remember that ever coming up. Boy,
Okay.
Akuma. It seems like theoretically he should be the main villain of this movie, but he's just there for a cool cameo. Two cool cameos, I guess, like the last movie.
Well, his cameo is a lot cooler in this movie.
That's fair.
He's not sitting
Although
along the fence eating his Chinese food.
that is low key cool. If you're the baddest man on the planet and there's a street fighting tournament and all you want to do is just sit by the fence and eat your food, that's a low key flex right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they meant it that way.
Mm.
So, I'm not impressed with the villain, old Elliot Sadler.
Oh man,
And
boy, what a plot! So he has almost the same goal that Bison did in the previous Street Fighter animated movie. He wants to capture Ryu, even if he has to rig a world martial arts tournament, so he can unlock or harness or manipulate his true power.
yeah, he's like a mix of he looks like a blend of a Pixar character along with like a little deformed Eggman going on there. It just with a little Mr. Sinister built in terms of the wires.
Yeah. Do you like his appearance better before or after he powers up and transforms?
Well, I think they only show his face before,
Mm.
so I'll probably go with that one. He reminds me visually before he transforms as the dad character in I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, Neo Evangelicon or whatever it is.
I've never seen
That
that. I'm not that big of a nerd, but I know what you're going for.
I watched on Netflix over the course of a couple weeks.
Okay,
Anyways,
good
he's
for
got a
you.
similar look. Their characters are nothing alike, but he's just I don't know. This is just lame. What's the best way to describe it?
And he has a lackey that I'm not sure if he built or that he captured and modified.
Talk about the cyborg.
Yeah, and I forget his name because so far as I know, he's not game canon either.
His name is Rosenoff.
Oh, he's Russian?
I don't know.
Did he exist before he was cybernetic?
I don't know. That's a good question. It seems very plausible. And then throughout the movie, Sadler is trying to basically accrue power and technique. What's that Marvel character who copies the moves after he sees it?
Are you thinking of the DC character, Amazo?
No.
A Marvel character.
There's a Marvel character. It's like a skull face. I think it was actually in one of the movies. I think it may have been in the.
It's not
May have been in-
Taskmaster, is it?
Yes, Taskmaster. So
Oh,
he's got a little Taskmaster along with absorption. So like he absorbs the pain that he receives and can convert to power. It can also copy all fighting styles after seeing it or experiencing it at one time.
Okay,
And they
very
call it
convenient.
data. Yeah.
Mega Man can do that too.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder because they call it data. And I kind of wonder if it's lost to translation a little bit.
Hmm.
It's almost like his body is a big battery and an encyclopedia at the same time. And he got all these cables, which I don't know where they're connected to, but because they don't start off in Romanoff or Rosanoff, but ultimately, Dr. Sadler, they're all connected and plugged into him.
Yeah, so he's getting powered up, even though he built a robot for that purpose.
Yes, and I don't
All
know if
right.
they're transmitted by radio waves, but somehow it goes from the robot to him in cyberspace or something. I don't know.
All right. I kind of hate that trope in fiction. You write a character that theoretically could have no limit in powers, but you still have to beat him somehow.
Well, and in this one, he's just taken out by a simple fireball,
But a really
a big
powerful fire.
fireball.
Yeah, really big one.
So, what did you think of compared to the last film, Chun Li? It's like they
Well,
found new ways to exploit her.
so I guess I should mention that. One of the things that sticks out to me in this movie, it's not a singular scene, like a shower followed by a fight in a bedroom, but it is many, many lingering camera shots on the abdomen and lower back regions, or the lower front regions and thighs, of female characters in this movie. Many, many, many shots that just linger that way, where you'll have like a shot of the male character in half body profile, and then the female character will linger into the shot.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Well,
right,
and
guys.
and then the one time you want to see what happened, they don't show it.
Are you talking about when the Romanov flexed Chun-Li too far?
Yeah, it's like a reverse split. It was like, how
And
do
you
you not
think
show that?
you think maybe that's so consequential it's fatal, but she seems to be fairly okay after that.
And jumping around.
Yeah, not great, a little bit, I'm sure there's a
Just
little pain there, but she's not.
and speaking of that, how many times in this movie does someone receive a death blow and you're trying to figure out if they're dead, and then they get up and start doing more stuff like 10 seconds later? They're not selling these moves.
So the little brother character, I'm gonna say maybe 3 times he gets the death blow, and with Ken,
Over and over and over again. One for each video game.
you're kind of wondering. So the Zangief fight is fun to watch. I feel a little bit bad for him. For some reason, he's taken on 2 people, but he does that pile driver move on Ryu, and that's supposed to take off at least half of a health bar. But again, yeah.
Yeah, it's so many of the worst character traits of anime happen in this movie over and over.
They take a lot of shortcuts in the animation. While it does look good when they go all out, there's many, many shots where they just linger on a still image. Maybe somebody's talking, maybe they're looking at something, a whole lot of wide shots, even though it doesn't add. It's wide shots you've already seen, and they go back to them for some reason, and nothing is
Chun
moving.
Li gets tons of dialogue in this movie. They like to linger. They like to linger.
What's her partner's name? Her Interpol buddy?
So I didn't write it down, but my notes say Wallace. Easily
Maybe
could have been a
that's-
character if they had chosen one.
Yeah, so the characters. There's a lot of Street Fighter characters in this movie, but I'm not sure why they're in this movie. They don't show up, for the most part, until the last 30 minutes of the movie. You call it the third act. They had 60 minutes to introduce characters to some degree, to make you invest a little bit, care about them, know a little bit about them. They don't do that at all with the first 60 minutes. And then they introduced, how many are we talking? Are there 8 to 9 new fighters that go with Ken Ryu and Chun-Li on the airplane?
Yeah, something like that. So they actually do have a street fighting tournament in this movie, which may have been the only time on film that it happened. So in the first time they started, I think it's Guy. I didn't know it at the time. I went back and Guy gets beat, or he beats someone, or maybe he's fighting Vega. You get like
No, that's
5
Dan.
seconds of Vega.
That is
That's
Dan right there. Yeah.
Okay.
And he dies, but then he's back later in the movie. I mean, Vega impales that man through the chest. Dan is resilient, but he was impaled through the chest.
Hey man, no selling.
Dan is the joke. You knew he's the joke character, by the way.
Yeah.
He's the whole SNK. He was in the first Alpha game as a joke character, taking a shot at SNK.
And then later on, they're kind of rebooting the tournament and trying it again. And they're going to do it at Sadler's compound. And so they take a flight there with a bunch of the other fighters, and one drives up and they land.
Goodness.
And you get Birdie, who I'm not familiar with. I didn't realize it was a real character.
Birdie's
Um,
all the way back in the original Street Fighter game, as is Adon. The one of those guys was trained by Sagat. I think it's Adon, and I'm forgetting. There are some Final Fight connections. So you mentioned Guy from Final Fight, and yes, he is in this movie. He gets one shot that I remember. They show him doing a spin kick after they arrive on that island to do their
okay.
tournament.
Well, Birdie bites the dust. He doesn't. He gets extended cameo where he doesn't really do much other than get a lot of kill shots on him and tortured.
Wait, did he die? Were we supposed to assume he died?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident.
They went to all that trouble to haul his carcass out of the complex. I didn't understand that, why they were so concerned about all these other fighters all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Birdie in particular.
The tournament itself didn't make a lot of sense though. When I was watching it, I was not under the impression that little Ryu was going to enter the tournament, and then he was in the tournament.
They
and
make a whole big deal when go ahead. Ken was trying to enter earlier.
Ken was trying to enter, but he gets there too late to sign up, which he was there a little bit later than Ryu and little Ryu. But then at the end of the movie, they kind of show everybody going back to their life, and it looks like he's then been allowed to be in the tournament, and he wins it. Now, back where I come from, you don't get to just sign up for a tournament after the first round's over.
Huh. Maybe because Ryu was a defending champion.
Ryu wasn't in it. It was Ken.
Oh, you're talking about Ken's in it. Oh.
Yeah. He wins the tournament in the post scene, or the post credits, or the scenes they're showing during the credits.
Boy, I forgot how that all played out. I was still trying to make sense of everything I was watching.
So they're just very loosey-goosey with this tournament.
So does Ken want money, or is that just Ryu's little brother?
I think Ken just wants to, because he's trained with Ryu, and I think it's just that rivalry of wanting to prove you're the better fighter.
Even though Ryu didn't want to fight.
Well, he wanted. What was it? What was it? It was the big realization at the end. Because the whole movie they're asking, why? Why does he fight? Why?
Oh,
why does he fight?
They asked that at least 10 times. Different characters.
And then at the end of the movie, all the female characters are in Ryu worship mode, and they're asking, why does he fight? Why does he fight? And then the little girl who broke her leg says, oh, it's not to kill, but keep fighting to find the answer. Why does he fight? So he's fighting he keeps fighting to find the answer of why does he fight.
That little girl is a major character in the franchise, and she came into prominence through the Street Fighter Alpha series. That is Sakura, the little schoolgirl character who wants to copy the fighting style of Ryu. But again, she has no consequence to this plot. She's introduced early.
You know who she reminds me of? The little boy in Godzilla's Revenge.
Oh, we're going with that again. Okay.
No, I mean, that's who she reminds me of. She's this this conscience-like character in the movie. Not really, but kind of. In the background, narrating about a story she's not there to experience. It's like, I don't know.
We get so many scenes with her, but she's not essential to this plot.
Not at all. Other than they like to have lingering shots.
Yeah, they do plenty of shots of that. So she worships Ryu, but she has a lot more interaction with Ken. Ryu saves her life once. Ken saves her life at least twice that I recall. Oh well. Go figure.
Yeah. We've talked about Ken a little. Ken's not a real deep character in this movie. They basically keep him around so that Ryu can keep telling him if he ever goes full Dark Ryu, you better kill me. But I don't know how he would if he's Dark Ryu.
So does Ken access the same power in the last 15 minutes?
That's my understanding. Are you talking about the big uppercut?
Yeah, the super shuriken with the blue aura around him.
I don't think he was doing evil Ken. But I think whatever Ryu and Ken do to make their little blue fireball in this movie, I think it's the same principle.
In the video games, when you have Street Fighter 2, they're basically same character. A little bit of slight differences, but as the series goes on and you get into Alpha, they give the characters super moves. So with Ryu, he develops a stronger fireball, and then eventually he even gets a projectile beam. With Ken, he gets flames on his uppercut shuriken, and then he eventually just gets a super shuriken. And I know that's what they're going for. I just wasn't sure in the context of this movie if that's supposed to be his dark side or not.
Yeah, I don't think so, because they never really show him with red eyes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This might be a thing where I'm remembering it falsely. Did he always have a red fireball and Ryu have the blue fireball?
So in the original game, they both have a blue tinted fireball, except Ryu, when he really puts the full momentum into it, he gets a red flaming fireball.
Okay. Maybe that's where I'm confusing myself.
When it came to Super Street Fighter 2, Ryu had an option to do a stronger red fireball. And I guess Ken also had probably the flaming Shuriken uppercut in that game too, if he did like a full motion version of it.
Well, it makes it hard. This movie is he only does the flaming Shuriken once, so we don't have a comparison to say is this a powered up version or just the regular. It looked like they were trying to go powered up though. Yeah, I thought he was dead after he did it.
Yeah,
again.
He had what do they call that? Vulnerability frames or stun animation. He does the powerful move and then he's wide open and he can't adjust.
Well, he doesn't even get hit. He just kind of overexertion almost.
Needs to work on his cardio, boy.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now, the great mystery in this movie is little Ryu, Shun.
Oh, man.
Who I'd like to shun. But they basically present him as this little firecracker who's apparently received all this training from himself and can beat up people.
Yeah.
Did they say his father trained him?
Oh, he said he learned the dark art from his father.
Okay, yeah. But he claims to be Ryu's brother, sent by his mother.
From Brazil.
Yeah, but he's really a brother from another mother because he's not related to him. Comes out at the end.
Even though Ryu still considers him his brother.
Absolutely. They
For
bonded
like the first time.
over almost killing each other over and over.
He's a little demon child. He reminds me of something out of the Akira anime or like a Damien demon spawn.
If Damien was a Chucky doll. It's got that Chucky look on that face.
I mean, the way he just goes off on those street punks, granted he is fighting for his life in the most technical sense, but man, that's some creepy looking expressions on his face while he's choking them out with their own weapons.
And we find out at the end as he's dying in Ryu's arms that he did come work for Dr. Elliot Sadler, but it was for money to help his mother who died. So once she's dead, you got to keep working with him?
Sadler set the whole thing up? Is that I must have missed that dialogue bit.
Oh, you missed it? Yeah, it was at the end when he was dying. It was clear as mud. I had to go back and look at notes, but
I kept thinking Akuma was behind the whole thing, but he wasn't, so far as I know.
No, he wasn't. And if they had a sequel, you can get more. But I think the sequel was a prequel. So,
oh boy,
which makes sense. Just like those Mega Man episodes.
Yeah.
So I will say I appreciate the body horror in little Shun stuck inside the belly of the cyborg.
It was good. I was confused about it because previously we saw the Shun walking around like one of the mind harvested zombies in the yard, and then he's part of the robot. His body is in the robot, not just his memories or his powers. Are there two bodies of Shun? Did I misunderstand something?
You misunderstood it just as I did. Let me find the summary spot.
Man,
where it talks about it. Where's it at? This will be edited. I appreciate the fact that I found a very long summary of this movie.
Yeah, man.
Here we go. Ryu wanders off and finds a garden filled with brainwashed little boys in white robes. It's a lobotomy field.
That's terrifying.
I agree. Ryu sees a boy that looks like Shun from behind, but the boy turns around and has blue eyes with freckles on his face. And as he stares soullessly at Ryu, he suddenly crumbles to the ground and starts convulsing, apologizing to Sadler. So it's not really Shun.
I thought that was Shun. He looked just like him.
He did. And on grainy film with watercolor painting. So man. I don't know if everyone misunderstood that or just us.
So the real Shun, he became part of the second edition of the cyborg, Romanov.
Yes.
But it's his real body inside the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's fine.
I don't know what role he plays in there, other than being bait to try to get Ryu to use his dark fireball.
Well, he gives the cyborg the dark Hadou energy. That's clear, right?
I think so.
I just thought the professor harvested the energy from him, but no, he just put him inside the cyborg.
Yeah, that's quite the data. It's like Tron in a really messed up kind of way. Yeah. Eventually, they do get Ryu. They bait him by basically killing Ken over and over, and then him not being dead. But you see your friend die enough times, and then suddenly you got a head slammed in the ground.
Yeah, man.
So eventually, he does get fired up enough to use the dark energy, and he blasts the belly out of the beast. And Shun's laying on the ground. He's been shunned, and the big monster thing just kind of, I think it melts. Is it something like that?
It loses its integrity, assuming it ever had any.
Yeah. And then that makes Dr. Sadler real thrilled because he's got all the power now. And he metamorphosized into some kind of mixture of a Bobo and Blanca.
Maybe the face reminds me of a catfish or something. Did you see the big tennis shoes he's wearing, like basketball
Oh,
sneakers?
this whole movie has big feet.
Yeah, I mean
Other
Birdie
than
has the biggest feet.
Shun. Well, Ryu's got giant feet.
That was part of the alpha character design. I'll give him that. Just
Oh, I agree.
emphasizing the large feet of all the characters.
One of them, and maybe it was Birdie, that had like clown feet.
He did have
Like
Ronald McDonald shoes.
he had iron sheet boots with a
Oh
little
yeah,
curved front.
yeah. They're pretty funny to look at.
They are funny to look at.
How does Sadler make the decision in his monster form he's going to have basketball sneakers on?
I would think he's already wearing them. They don't really show him. He's kind of the equivalent
Yeah.
of Dr. Claw prior to that.
Do you think the sneakers grew with him, or he bought a size way bigger than he would need so he could grow into them?
Maybe they're stretchy. Maybe they're like Spanx. Spanx.
Okay, sure.
Spanx speakers.
Sure.
Spanx sneakers. There we go. Got that out right. Anyways, he gets out and he gets to a little battle with Ryu. And Ryu's about to use a big evil fireball again. And then this character we haven't talked about and plays a much more significant role than they should, Rose, aka the tarot card lady, pops up in a vision and
Third
says
time.
you haven't drawn your death card yet.
Man.
Now, what I think she meant was you're not going to die. And then he gets hit by a fireball from the dark Sith Sadler, and it seems to neutralize his evilness. I don't know. But he goes sane, and he hits him with a regular fireball, souped up nonetheless, and then Sadler loses both arms. That's not really clear either, why he lost 2 arms. But
he was getting in a beam struggle with Ryu, which doesn't really happen in Street Fighter games, but they have their arms out, and they're just kind of pushing that beam against each other, and those would logically be the first things to go if you lose the beam struggle, right?
Well, I guess. And then he vaporized like he had used up all his force.
Yeah.
Ryu obviously snapped his fingers and he disintegrated. And then the movie's pretty much over, other than you have the death scene that you didn't understand.
No. Because I thought we'd already had a death scene with Shun like a couple times.
And then you have the scuffed up, marked bodies of all the characters as they all go home. And we see Chun-Li fighting with Interpol again. She still has not found her father.
Yeah, that plot thread was introduced and just... Boy, this movie needed Bison a little bit. Just a little bit of Bison.
Yeah. And then Ken wins Attorney, which I thought would have been a different one, but when I read notes, everyone agreed it was the finishing of this one. So I'm like, okay, he wasn't in this one, but whatever. And then Ryu goes to fight Akuma to prove that he can fight him without using Dark Ryu.
Heaven forbid we set up a fight between the two midway through the movie, give them the whole set piece, and don't actually let them fight. And we imply that they had a fight after the movie's over, and we freeze the last scene on it.
Well, you know what would have been great for part 2 of this movie? Opening up, and you have Ken and Chun-Li and that kid who you said is important in later games, Sakura, and the Ryu's funeral. Because he was killed by Akuma because he wouldn't use the dark power.
That's what the movies do. That's what they do when they can't bring the same actors back for the next movie.
Yeah.
These days. Oh, man. Oh.
Here's what I wrote for Dr. Sadler after he hulked up. I said, if Mole Man was a Hulk.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. DC or Marvel Mole Man?
I was thinking Marvel. I can't remember what DC Mole Man looked like. Pixar one probably works too.
They got a theatrical movie, Superman versus the Mole Men. That's what we got to look at one day.
Superman. Oh, it's on my list. It's on my list.
Superman versus the Mole Men.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's just, So do you think this is better than Mega Man movie?
Given the choice, I will watch Mega Man, all 3 episodes, over this.
At regular speed, not 1.25?
This movie could also benefit from 1.25 speed, or 1.5, maybe 1.75, maybe times 2.
The problem, the only problem with that for this movie is it's very dialogue heavy, and it's hard to figure out what they're talking about at 1 speed.
It does still look cool, but again, the Mega Man movie looked cool when it looked cool, and both of them have that problem of just sitting around for a long time. Meh.
I think one thing I just don't like about this movie is that it came out after the Street Fighter 2 animated movie. And it looks like it was produced like 10 years before it. And not just because Street Fighter 2 has got the HD upgrade, but it's just everything's real soft on the colors. the artwork is basically the same. They're drawing the people mostly or almost the same way, but it just looks like a 1980s.
I think you're insulting the 80s a little bit.
I think it reminds me of the coloring in Ninja Gaiden that we watched, which I can't recall what year that came out either. But I know
like
some of it is just that it's HD.
91.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this movie frequently, and not even in the background or the memory scenes or the flashbacks, you'll have this. Basically, the screen just goes blurry around the edges, where they softened it so much that it's like it's not like it's raining, but that's kind of the effect. So it just annoyed me. I didn't. If you're watching Street Fighter 2, you want bright colors, and this had
yes, you do.
No bright colors.
Yeah.
We're gonna rank it on lingering scenes. What are we gonna do?
That's what I was thinking. Awkward, intimate, awkward camera shots, lingering camera shots.
Right. Lingering camera shots.
The concept of this is not great.
It could be worse, but yeah, I agree.
I know this is not your familiarity either, but the Dragon Ball Z franchise. And over time, it feels like Street Fighter tried to become more and more Dragon Ball-y, Toriyama-y. This seems to borrow a little bit of influence from the famous Cell Saga, or Perfect Cell Saga, where a mad scientist from beyond the grave designs an ultimate android that as he absorbs different people and their powers, he goes to perfection, and then you end it with a big beam struggle. But as a rule of thumb, all the Dragon Ball Z movies are compressed, but also lesser impactful versions of the TV show arcs, and this just screams bad Dragon Ball Z movie to me. Everything about this. Maybe if it had time to linger as a miniseries, 10 episodes or whatever, maybe everything could be built up a little bit better. Characters just appear and disappear for no reason. At the end of the day, the only character that matters is the protagonist. And he only wins because the movie decided it was time that he won. So no matter how bad he was losing, just put everything you got into one powerful shot and beat the big villain. That's what happened in this one. I cannot give it any more than a 2 out of 5 anything. So I suppose why do I even give it 2? Again, when the animation is good, it's pretty good. I'm dropping it down to 1.5 lingering shots. 1.5 lingering shots out of 5.
So I think there was promise. There was a kernel of a good movie in here. I like the dynamic between Ryu and Ken, and Akuma for that matter.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the little brother, little Ryu. I think the creepy body horror when he became the cyborg or was in the cyborg is. I almost want to give it a 1 lingering shot just for that.
There you go.
So I will give it 2, unless I talk myself down here, for that 1 shot, and then the Ryu and Ken dynamic. I find Ken he's portrayed much worse in other films sometimes. Let's put it that way. This may be one of the better ones.
Did you find it awkward because we had this moment in the first Street Fighter movie, which was Street Fighter 2. They actually showed the flashback of Ken giving his red ribbon to Ryu to become his new headband. And in this movie, which is that Street Fighter Alpha sort of explores that time before that happened, he makes such a big deal out of his white headband, which gets torn up by the end of the movie, but they never do the trade of the ribbon for headband. I don't know, I just expected it.
Well, Ken had to get a haircut to give away a headband.
Yeah.
His hair was down to his rear end. Anyway, I like the Ryu-Ken dynamic. I like the idea of the little brother. The execution is just awful, and the main villain's atrocious.
Yeah.
And all the other characters are used wrong. And I didn't like the coloring of the animation, for lack of a better phrase. There's probably a better word for that.
The palette. Color palette.
Yeah, the palette, yeah. The dialogue was atrocious and hard to follow. I had plot points corrected as I did research after I watched it. That's never a good thing, especially if it happens more than once.
Yeah.
So
I'll at least allow maybe the dubbing wasn't the best, and maybe if I watched it in Japanese, maybe it'd be a little bit more interesting, and maybe I could up it that half star or that half shot to 2 out of 5. But as it stands, this English version 1.5 still was me.
Maybe we'll just say I'll give it 1 good long lingering shot as opposed to 2 crappy ones.
Me. You had to undercut me. After I undercut you, and then I went down a half step. You had to go down.
Well, it's the kind of movie where you say a few things that it did well, And then you start
Okay,
listing off all the
well,
things that are bad, and it just adds up.
let me put you on the spot. Are you watching this or the Ninja Gaiden one if you have to sit through the entirety of one of them at full speed?
Probably Ninja Gaiden. I thought it was a horrible Ninja Gaiden movie, but I didn't think the movie itself was like it was only bad because it was supposed to be Ninja Gaiden. It would have been an
I agree with you
average
on that.
anime. This is just a bad movie. And the fact that it's a bad Street Fighter movie makes it even worse.
Yeah, I was angry at Ninja Gaiden based on what I believed it should have been and how much of a disappointment it was to me. So this one didn't disappoint me. It didn't make me mad. It just boggled my mind why it is the way it is.
Yeah, I think of all the OVAs we've been watching, this is the one that's had the worst dialogue in terms of like being coherent. This is not a coherent movie. So this movie from 1999 through 2001, don't know if it made money. Not a lot on the internet about it.
Maybe a lot of people are trying to forget about it.
It hasn't gotten a re-release. You can watch it for free if you want to double the runtime with your ads. But
yeah.
All right, that's been Street Fighter Alpha, the animation, aka Zero, the animation.
Boy, we could have made a pun if we'd given it a 0 score out of 5.
Man,
it does do some things well.
If they had messed up Ryu and Ken's characters, I think it would have been a 0.
There you go. 0 to 0, just like that.
All right, well, thanks everybody.
Bye-bye.